Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're looking at Who's Who Update 87 Volume 2, the definitive directory of the DC Universe Volume 2. So what is this? This sold really well. It sold like gangbusters, and everybody liked it, myself included. And they cataloged and categorized and explained all the DC characters. And I don't know about you, but I feel that most comic book obsessive people are a little compulsive. So this was right up my alley. Explained everything, told us who they were. I thought it was great. But in the process of doing it, things change. Comic books change. So when it reached its logical end, they started putting out updates with updated information about characters that changed. It's, you know, do they still do this? I remember Marvel's ended with them doing it online. You know, I wondered, do they still do that? I can't even speak today. All right, let's look. I'm looking at the covers. Oh, the Alan Davis. I love that Catwoman costume. Oh, who is that? I was going to say that it was Nova, but that's Marvel. This was a bizarre story. I'll talk about that when it comes up. Okay, just cool stuff. Just cool stuff. Looks like a lot of good stuff going on here. All right. Weapons check, the Electric Warrior. I remember this comic. See, this I don't like. When they start doing fake schematics and everything like that, Marvel did that. Marvel tried to ground everything in science, and I don't care. Superman flies. We don't need to understand, like, the gravitational warp disturbance field. Superman flies. Just say that. Electric Warrior has this armor. Once you start drawing schematics, I don't know. I didn't particularly like that. So here we have Catwoman, drawn by Alan Davis. I love this era. This was a weird era of Batman and Robin. I absolutely loved it. Alan Davis, Paul Neary, they did the art. I forget who wrote it. I think they actually wrote it too. And it was really trippy, really bizarre, with great designs of all the characters. Just glorious. So I guess that 87. Just check it out. Just check it out. Just such good. Look at that. Look at that. So good. Cheetah. This is George Perez. George Perez, for those of you who don't know, he took over Wonder Woman in 87 and revamped her. So, you know, there's some argument whether or not it was the third iteration of Wonder Woman or the second iteration of Wonder Woman. I don't know. That's for philosophers to decide. I just know that there was the George Perez Wonder Woman and the before George Perez Wonder Woman. And it's one of my early showcases, and it was probably the first video that I was actually, like, proud of. And one of my friends actually called me up and said that was excellent. So I felt proud about that. But he turned a cheesy supervillain character into, like, a legitimate threat with a cool story and everything. Really good story. So she's like a were-cheetah. Just really cool. Really cool. Chiller by Dan Jurgens and Mike DeCarlo. I actually have this comic. I read this comic, and I have no recollection of it other than this guy could disguise himself. And his face melts every 24 hours. I got to revisit this. Why? Because I trust Dan Jurgens and Mike DeCarlo. They're two total professionals. I really like them. Joe Stanton drawing Chip. You remember the Green Lanterns? There's like, what, 3,600 of them in each sector of space, and I have no interest in the Green Lanterns. I don't know. They're too powerful, and there's an army of them. I don't know. And the weakness is yellow. I just never liked the Green Lantern. But here we go. He's the Chipmunk Green Lantern. Chroma. This is Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane started out, I think his very first series was Infinity Incorporated. And I'm probably the only person who champions that series. I really liked it, and this was the most bizarre issue of the series. Chroma was this alien that came down from space, and he sang songs, but the songs made everybody feel weird, you know, with a strange sense of longing, you know, and everybody on the planet, like, just had this, like, unexplained, unrequited desire. I just found that to be, like, I don't know, just it's brilliant, and it's kind of scary at the same time. And nobody knew if he was a good guy or a bad guy, you know, so nobody knew how to deal with it. The Infinity Incorporated, it's like, do we attack him? Do we not attack him? You know, and religious groups had to debate whether or not, like, is he evil? Is he an angel? Is he a good guy? It was just a cool issue. For all I know, that was his only appearance. You know, the Church of Blood. This is Brother Blood's church. Brother Blood's like a religious figure of the Church of Blood, and there's been like various Brother Bloods, and what does he do? He fights the Teen Titans. He's a villain. I think he was created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. And he's kind of like a religious technological vampire. Like they put victims' blood and pour blood all over him, and he takes their power. Just, you know, sometimes he's an old man, sometimes he's a young guy. It's just so cool. Oh wow, Dave Mazzucchelli drawing Commissioner Gordon. For those of you who don't know, Dave Mazzucchelli did the Batman Year One. Just a phenomenal talent. I think, if I remember correctly, he wasn't in comics. And I think Frank Miller or somebody like talked him into doing and he or maybe he just wanted to get like an urge out of his system, because he didn't do that many comics, but what he did is just so phenomenal. I showcased Batman Year One on, I think, one of my first Sunday comics, if not the first. Just so good. I just track it down. I could go on and on and on. Darkwing. Oh, so it's a Hawkman villain. I know nothing about him. Richard Howard and Anstar. I got into Hawkman, but just as much as I got into him, just as fast as I got into him, I got out of him. You know, believe it, just too confusing of a backstory. Just too, you know, the Golden Age, the Silver Age. And then they tried to marry the two, and I just like Jeff Johns' approaches. He's like, yeah, they're all true. You know, they're all true. Even the contradictory stuff, it's all true. It's mystical. He explains it better than me, but that's it. Darwin Jones by Greg Brooks. I don't even know who Greg Brooks is. Strange Adventures #1. So I guess he's a scientific investigator. Don't know anything. Department of Scientific Investigate, DSI. I don't know. Don't know anything about him. Looks interesting. I kind of like that character nowadays. Oh, Decay. Some George Perez over here. Decay is she was her mother was Medusa, so she's like the daughter of the Gorgon, and she could just like open up her mouth and just emit this like vapor that just decays everything and destroys her. Just cool mythological based supervillain for Wonder Woman. Like George Perez really upped the game of Wonder Woman villains. Wonder Woman had the worst villains, even worse than Superman. But now he's got Phobos and Deimos, the sons of Mars. That just, look at that, just great. Fear and Terror. And the director, who is the director? I kind of like Dan Jurgens, Mike DiCarlo. Okay, so this is for Booster Gold #2. Just like I said, phenomenal talents. Kind of generic design, but I don't know. I kind of like it. Dr. Midnight. So this is the second iteration of Dr. Midnight, or maybe the third. I forget which, but she came and went. She was a flash in the pan, if you ask me. They're updating. The old Dr. Midnight was Dr. McNighter. He got blinded and he had all these like Daredevil abilities, kind of. You know, he was Daredevil before Daredevil. And then the Infinity Incorporated, the whole thing about Infinity Incorporated is everybody's legacy. So there had to be a new Dr. Midnight, and she kind of and left. Now they have another Dr. Midnight that looks exactly the same as the old Dr. Midnight. I think she got killed in I forget what 0 Hour, I think she got killed. Dr. Moon fights why can't I think of it? I'm trying to think of it before I Batman and the Outsiders. Yes, because there's Katana, there's Looker. And Wonder Woman's first series. Okay, so he fought Wonder Woman, and then they brought him back for Batman and the Outsiders, or maybe just the Outsiders at this point. So he's just the scariest thing in the world to me. He's an evil supervillain surgeon. How scary is that? That's just terrifying. I got nothing else to say about that. Dr. Spectro, he fights Captain Atom. Is this... Yep, Pat Broderick, one of my favorite comic book artists of all time. I love this series. The series aggravated me, but I loved it at the same time. I guess if it made a bunch of emotion, that shows you that it got under my skin, but I loved it. So how's that? He made the suit and that fired off these different rays. Each ray had a different power. Each frequency did a different power. Just cool. Just cool. An old Charlton villain that they updated for Marvel, for DC. Dr. Ubix by Joe Stanton. Who's he? Oh, Green Lantern? I don't know. What do you want me to say? I'm not a Green Lantern fan. Doll Girl. Who's this? Murphy Anderson. Yeah, those Doll Man and Doll Girl, the original like shrinking superheroes. I have a fondness for them. They're cheesy. Yes, they're cheesy. What do you want me to say? They're cheesy, but I like them. I don't know. The Dome. What is this? Ken Anders, where's this from? I don't even. Oh, this is the Global Guardians headquarters. So this is like the UN of superheroes. So these are the superheroes from all different everybody except for the United States contributed superheroes to the Global Guardians. The Duke of Oil. I talked about this a few times. This is Jim Apparo's artwork. This is Mike W. Barr. He liked to make like hokey villains like this. The Duke of Oil was like an evil oil baron, and he fought the outsiders. He was cheesy on purpose. Dynamite, the TNT kid. He was a sidekick to TNT and Dynamite. And they weren't originally DC characters. They were bought up. I think they were Quality Comics. And they were basically Batman and Robin, but their gimmick was they had a ring. And when the two heroes would touch their rings, they would get supercharged, able to make explosions and get super strength for a little while. But, and then like, the whole, just like Billy Batson was always getting gagged, they were always getting separated. The Electric Warrior. This was a limited series by Jim Backey. I have it. I read it, and it made no impression on me. I'm sorry to say that. Essick by Richard Howell and Mike Royer. New Gods #4. I don't know anything about him. I'm slowly getting my way through the Jimmy Olsen Superman's Pal comics, where all the New Gods stuff started. So I'm not up there yet. Fastback is another one of the New Gods from #5. I guess Jack Kirby died at this point. He's not drawing his characters anymore. Faye Gun. Again, how many times I say this? There's a whole slew of Batman villains that are just forgotten. Faye Gun. So she has like a school of orphans, and she teaches the orphans to do crimes. And I mean, that's kind of old-fashioned, but it's kind of cool at the same time. Fire Fist. He fought the Blue Beetle, and even Blue Beetle made fun of him in the first appearance. So he's just an arsonist supervillain. Flare from the Legion of Superheroes. Just so cool. I love Greg LaRocque and Mike DeCarlo. Just a great era for the Legion of Superheroes. Look at that. Don't you want to read those comics? That is just awesome. I forgot about her. Flash, like Jackson Juice and Butch Geist. Jackson Geist and Butch Geist are the same people. I always say Jackson. I get his name wrong, but I've been told under good authority that it's pronounced Juice. Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm doubting myself, and I'm making a fool of myself. But this is Wally West. So he was originally Kid Flash. Barry Allen died of the Crisis Infinite Earths. He got promoted to the full-on Flash. You see, it's revised here, so it's updated. And this was Barry Allen was supposed to stay dead, and I don't know, but when I finally get my poop together and make some comic books, dead means dead. Don't kill off a character, unless you mean it. Flaw and Child, they were in Amethyst. So Flaw, meaning a flaw and a gem, and so this is the Flaw and this is the Child. And they were the superpower team that fought Amethyst. I said it before, I'm like, another one. That's another comic that only I champion. Here's a third comic that only I champion, the Young AllStars. Flying Fox. He was created to fill up continuity, which I think is a crummy way to make up a character. So he was supposed to be Batman before Batman, and he's nothing like Batman. So I don't think the character works in the slightest. I don't particularly like the character. I don't know. I think it was, when I say bad intentions, I don't mean they're like trying to trick us or anything like that. It's just they weren't trying to come up with a cool character. They were trying to plug holes in continuity. Frances Kane, she is Magenta. I don't know why. I guess she didn't have the name Magenta yet, but I always thought that was cool. They gave her a magenta costume and called her Magenta, and she has magnetic powers. I always got her in Polaris. I always thought like they were the same character separated by continuities of companies. But there you go. Fury. No, look at that. Howard Simpson, Malcolm Jones. Beautiful art. Just beautiful art. I love her face. She was created to be Wonder Woman, to fill up all that gold, all the Golden Age stuff after Crisis Infinite. That wasn't Wonder Woman, that was Fury. Again, bad intentions. I like the character, but bad intentions. And then this is her daughter, the modern age Fury. I could go for an hour talking about her convoluted story, other than that she became the mother of the new Morpheus, the Sandman, from Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Through a whole kit and caboodle. I don't even know if she's in DC continuity anymore. And Gold Star. This is Booster Gold's sister. She took a copy of his costume and his powers and became Gold Star. It's not a sister. It was his secretary, Trixie Collins. That's right. Yeah, and so it was Booster Gold and a sidekick Gold Star. Booster Gold was a fun comic. I really enjoyed Booster Gold. That's a comic I got to revisit. So these are fun. You know, bring back a lot of memories. You know, I forgot about the Cheetah. Electric Warrior, I'm forgetting about already. Who cares? But a lot of good stuff. Gold Star, I like that character. I wonder what happened. Anybody know if she's still around? And then this Alan Davis, Paul Neary era of Batman. Those are some trippy. Is the only way to describe it. It's good. And then get this. I forget what issue of Infinity Incorporated he is, but he's on the cover. You can't miss him. It is a bizarre. I think it's 2 issues. There you go. All right. This is Who's Who Update 87 Volume 2. Thanks a lot, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.